Today we're going to be talking about the Galaxy A11, and is it a good phone for the year 2024 and onwards? Well, we'll talk about it right now. The first good thing that I want to talk about the Samsung Galaxy A11 is that it is cheaper than dirt, especially if you get one that is cracked like mine. You can find it for under $26. If you want to find something that's a little bit nicer, it'd probably be around under $50, but this phone is very cheap, like very, very cheap. I think people who work out at home or just like maybe go on a walk or a run and don't want to bring their main phone will really like this phone because it has a headphone jack. You can use wireless or Bluetooth depending on the scenario that you want to use. If you're trying to go with a budget phone and use budget stuff, well, of course, you can have headphones. If you have a pair of AirPods, you can still connect them with Android, so boom, there you go. Even though this phone is a little old, I can still say it is decently fast. Now, it's not the fastest thing in the world, and especially if you have very powerful games, it can't run the most powerful games very fast, but at least when you're doing social media or YouTube, it loads the app very fast, and the videos load very fast too on the YouTube app currently. I say currently because you don't know, in 10 years maybe the YouTube app won't work at all on it. I don't know what the future holds. This is something Apple didn't do until recently, but Samsung decided to do it very early on, even with their budget phones. It has a USB Type-C charging point, which is just amazing. I'm not just going to be singing the praises of this device. I have to talk about some of the negatives because the negatives have to be taken into consideration if you're going to even buy this phone as a minimalist phone, a hobby phone, or whatever. The battery is very small on this device. I was watching videos for about 4 to 6 hours and it completely died on me. It is a very small battery. I was only watching stuff at half brightness too, so it cannot take a lot of on-screen time. Another major thing to consider is that there's going to be no security updates for the whole entire existence of this phone from now on. Maybe you might get a security update if it's absolutely positively necessary, but do not hold your hopes for it. The only reason why my hopes are somewhat up for maybe a security update is because I believe the iPhone 6s got a security update like maybe 3 months ago at the time I'm recording this. It was just freaking crazy how there is a cheap phone you can buy on the used market that still gets supported by Apple. As we know, Apple only really cares about money, so it's surprising that they actually care about security updates on their older phones. This does have very low starting memory. This has 32 gigabytes of memory to start with, and I would highly recommend you to get expandable storage. I do not know the maximum amount of expandable storage, but I can guarantee that it can at least take 64 gigabytes of The Samsung Galaxy A11 has very poor speakers. I would highly recommend you just to use the headphone jacks with some headphones that you have, or maybe Bluetooth, because I have to tell you, they are very bad. I would not listen to them out loud with any type of song that needs a lot of bass or a lot of songs that have like high notes, because it is very bad. You can tell that it is a very old phone based off the sounds that emit from the speakers. There is one major thing that I have to tell you about this phone is it does not have the best camera quality at all. It is not even Facebook worthy, so I'm not going to show you any of the pictures on the video, but I will have to tell you that it is very bad. I would highly recommend not getting this phone if you're going to use it for gram-worthy photos. I would say maybe spend $150 more and get a Samsung Galaxy FE21, because this Samsung Galaxy A11, I believe, only has a 1080p camera, or at least that's the only type of camera quality that I've been seeing out of the Samsung Galaxy A11. To wrap this up, I would say there's very few people who would actually need this phone, and the ones who would actually need this phone are people who are going to have a very specific purpose for this phone. For example, a person who's going to just take notes with this phone, or people who are going to just use this device for The only other recommendation that I can give to people who would need this phone is if you're like me, who have a beer money engine going where you use Android phones to make money, and I have some very specific uses that I can use to make money on an older device like this, especially mine, since I got mine for like basically half off because everything works on it, but the screen is just very messed up.